We just had a little bit of an awkward break, and we're quite glad that you've arrived now, so that we can hear you speak
All right.
and then take a break. Yeah.
We'll see if we need it. I don't think I'm going to need it, right? I mean, come on.
Okay, so you can talk to us when you're ready.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right. Good evening, all. My wife's going to be upset because she's on her way to see me, but I think it's better that we take the time so that we can keep your proceedings moving forward. I haven't even had time to gather my thoughts. I sat down on Sunday this week, and decided that I would remove myself from the hearings process specifically so that I could submit. And so I sat down and wrote the submission. And I've just had another quick look before I've come. So I think I'm up to speed with what it says.
It's okay, we are. If
Yeah,
you're
cool.
not.
Cool. As long as someone's read it in the room, we're good. I've got a copy if anybody needs it. The reason it was easy to write is, of course, I've been living with this for a long time. It's what drove me to the madness of standing for election in 2019, and it's really driven me ever since. Everything that I've done really has kind of sprung from this issue of this work not having been done. Now, I know that, in a submission process with hundreds of submissions and everybody's putting their hand up for something and they all want something, and that's entirely understandable. This differs probably from most submissions in that this is not something that I've sat down and dreamed up and said, wouldn't this be wonderful? This is something that council came to us many years ago and said, this is what we want to do, and we want to work with everybody to come up with an idea, and it didn't happen. The reason the budget was taken from Raumati Beach was, we've been told different reasons, and really I think it doesn't matter at this point. It's just it hasn't happened. I think there's some really good reasons why it should happen. There's budget allocation for it to happen if we want to do that. Probably would realistically involve shuffling some of that around to different years, and we can talk about that staging. But I think really the people who are missing from this submission, I think, is the poor old staff, because I really sat and thought, if I was one of these staff members who'd sat down and really poured my heart into a project like they had done, consulted with the public and put up with all the crap that they have to put up with, come together with something that we were really proud of and really thought was going to happen, and then to see it sort of disappear into the archives, I kind of feel for those staff members. So let's think about the poor old staff members, not just the business people and not just the broader community as well, but everybody here. So I'm hoping there's some good questions, and I'm happy to have a conversation as always. So over to you.
Thanks, Bede. Let's go first off the block.
Oh, yeah. So why did it never come about?
I don't know. The reason at the time I remember being bandied around was there were overruns in the budget at Otaki Township. Somebody else later told me that wasn't the reason, so I don't actually know what the reason was, but yeah, it didn't happen.
Nigel.
Yeah, so the in terms of the budgetary amounts and opportunity, so the 24-25 years, 2.377 million, and then so there's like there were and then there's a 7-year gap to year 8 when there was going to be another spend of 7 million, and then year 9 with close to another 7 million, which sounds like one of those optimistic ones that you put big numbers in and don't have to worry about it for 8 years and hope they go away. So was there a plan about how that spending was going to be allocated?
This specific budget allocation?
Yeah.
So my understanding, I did have some email with Mark de Haast over the Christmas New Year period and asked him about that. His response was that the 2 million in 24-25 isn't specifically allocated to anything, and the later budget, as far as I'm aware, isn't. I know that Councillor Hampford and I had a conversation with Sean Mellon probably 3 or 4 years ago in Raumati, and he opened up the budget, and that budget allocation was there, and we said give it to us. But as far as I'm aware, none of that's actually been specifically allocated.
And so my follow-up to that would be then, so if the Raumati Village Business Association said, look, we've got an initiative, this is what we think will help grow business or secure business in Raumati, etc., like those, the market days and that sort of stuff, so the budget could be allocated to that? Because it sounds like what's missing is somebody to say, come and spend it here.
That's what I've spent the last 5 years of my life saying. Look, ultimately, it's not up to me as to how the budget is properly spent. But there are all sorts of things. I mean, if we were looking at, starting this kind of seriously in a couple of years, there's lots of little things that we could do to test out ideas and to do activations if we were so motivated. Some of those could be ideas that could ultimately benefit other town centres as well, because if things work here, they might work somewhere else or something differently or whatever. But yeah, I mean, I'm a creative sort of thinker, and I'd love to kind of get into the process of thinking what the future might look like for the village for the long term.
I mean, if we saw an example of the Otaki market person came in, and how that market has been hugely successful, but also it's been something of a nest for entrepreneurs, and some of those people, they try it out in the market and then it grows into a business. So, I mean, it's the same potential in Raumati, right? There's a bunch of creatives down there. Yeah.
But yeah, potentially. I mean, one of the things that people do throw around is a market like Paraparaumu Beach, but I don't think we need another Paraparaumu Beach market. That's kind of silly. But yeah, if we sat around and came up with something that was different, unique, could be rolled out in Raumati. I'm not a big fan of having to rely on council for lots of that sort of stuff. But if council was able to help support it to get started, that may be useful.
So I'll have one last question.
Sure.
How do we make it happen for you?
You just say yes. You just tell the staff to do it, and it'll all roll on from there.
If we're only that simple.
Trust me. There's some staff in this organisation who are champing at the bit to see this happen. So I've talked to a few of them. We've got a project about to start in Raumati for a raised platform, which was, I knew the name was going to go out of my head, Alan, former councillor. Alan Tristram. Dear old Alan, he's been pushing for that crossing to be raised for quite some time, and it's finally about to happen. So I just had a conversation with a staff member about that section of the road needs repairing, and they were looking at doing sort of building to building repairs, which involves footpaths. So then the conversation is, well, what's that going to look like? So those sorts of things, there's some interest in having those conversations.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just want to have them. Be great.
Yeah, agree.
So do we all. Yep, fully support you, Bede. I think we've got Martin next.
Oh, sorry.
Through you, Madam Chair, Bede. I hear what you're saying around the community outcomes documents. That was a bit of a mystery to me as well, finding out about them in the last triennium, and then trying to get oxygen to those documents coming into this one. So I'm under the impression that with the current vision work that's been done, and thank you, because you and Sophie done an amazing job in that space, that a lot of this work is being sort of brought into that vision stuff, and will hopefully come out the other end with a plan for Raumati. I mean, obviously the bones of it are already there. But is that your take on what's happening as part of this process?
Short answer, yes. So the, how did I phrase it? Intelligent, creative and energetic local people who put together the Vision for Raumati project.
I noticed that.
I mean,
Chuckle.
Can't say it's not true. So the information that was fed into that was, first of all, a community survey that, from memory, I think we got about 80 respondents to. We took the Raumati Village strategy that First Retail Group had put together for us, and then the local outcomes. They went to Lisa Richardson, the artist, who really incorporated all of that thinking into that beautiful picture that we see everywhere these days. So those local outcomes are deeply embedded into the heart of our Vision for Raumati project.
And it would be a fair comment to say that the Raumati pools and obviously the park is all part of that larger vision for what you want to see happen down that way.
In terms of the vision for Raumati, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
God, I see a huge opportunity with the trains and the train conversation through the district. We've got the cable car, we've got Steam Inc. down at Paikokariki, and we've obviously got the miniature railway, which is one hell of a popular draw card. You tie that in with the swim mat thing that's down there as well, and I've always thought that park there could be a real feature with regards to lighting up the trees, all that sort of scenario there as well. Is that been captured? Do you think it's been captured in the work you guys have done as well?
There's various ideas like that. Yeah, I know when we talked to the Youth Council for the Vision Project, one of the young people was talking about having a stage in the park. So that'll come up in another submission that I'll attend and talk about. So those sorts of things are always coming through.
Yeah. And look, an apology, I guess, because I'm aware that at the last trinium with the community board of Paraparaumu, there were some decisions to be made around that crossing or roundabout or something along that sort of line, which there was a communication hiccup. We took it by the time we realised there was the funding. There's been some funding issue with central government that all of a sudden funding had got pulled as well. I don't know how much that impacted things, but it's great to see that work's actually going to be coming forward now as well. So slight apology there.
No, look, hey, we just have to play the hand we're dealt with, and these things happen. One of the ideas for Raumati that often is talked about is one-waying Margaret Road, and a lot of people have got ideas for and against that. But the staff take the view that really until we've got that roundabout work and that stuff in place, there'll be no way to test that idea anyway. So that would be great to see that roundabout and the other work happen.
Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, that's my bit. Thanks.
Thank you. Cheers.
Right, Shelley?
I was just wondering who the intelligent, creative, amazing people were in your...
Sorry, in my submission it doesn't actually identify them.
Beaton's.
I think if you look on the website, you'll...
Beaton, Sophie.
Nigel, did you have another?
Yeah, I did have a quick question for you, actually, Bede. Now, I always get a little bit mixed up between Raumati and Raumati South, where all the hippies live. So, because it's closer to Paikokariki, obviously. So, when
They all moved to Raumati South.
like
that's
so
what
the refresh the village. So the essence of it is around the Raumati village, right? But Raumati South itself it's almost an entity on its own, right? But is Raumati South incorporated into all of the thinking and the planning for this?
So we've got some identity issues there, right? So, so rightly speaking, we've got Raumati South, Raumati Beach, and Raumati East. I always have to stop and think east or west. So those are the areas of Raumati technically. When we were successful in having a Raumati Community Board established, one of the things that happens is that a community is constituted. At that moment, Raumati as a constitutional community, or as a constituted community, came into being. So we literally put Raumati on the map. People are very parochial. Raumati South, I live in Raumati South. I have businesses in Raumati Beach, so I'm a bit of both. But people are very parochial, and that's fine. I take a big view in terms of Raumati, but we've done our vision for Raumati project. The sort of stage one was Raumati Beach area, which includes the village. We are currently underway with a survey and talks with Raumati South about one for Raumati South, and we're working with the Raumati South Residents Association to do that. But Raumati Village Business Association is a focus on Raumati Village, but it would be good to start to foster something in Raumati South as well. Yes, it's a beautiful part of the world.
So I have
Well,
a question,
fewer.
and it's around the community board. So I hear the community board has a very capable and charismatic chair.
Wow, that's not what I heard.
I'm just wondering where the community board fits into this. What do you see as the role of the community board in shaping these pieces of work, bringing them together, liaising with council staff? What do you see as the role of the community board in all of this?
I see community board having a really quite significant role, and you'll be pleased to know that on Tuesday afternoon I'll be wearing a different hat of chair of the Raumati Community Board for a submission where we can discuss that. But you know, you've got these different groups, the business association, the community board. They play different roles. They should work in together. I think I also refer to Chamber of Commerce. I mean, this is a business area, so Chamber of Commerce, which I'm also involved in, will have a role there too. But everybody will as well. I mean, we need to get schools and all the local people involved in what it's going to look and feel like.
Thank you.
I'm not sure that quite answered that
it's-
question.
No, it did. It's great to hear.
Hmm.
Yeah, really good. Yeah. I don't know how you keep track of all your hats. You're like the Mad Hatter. You've got so many hats.
I've taken off my hats and now I'm just mad.
Welcome, Trina. I'm sorry, we started a bit early, and
started early.
you'll be able to watch it online later over and over again if you like. Thanks, B. Absolutely fantastic, the work you're doing.
Cool.
with
Thank you.
Each of your hats. So, and thanks for coming and accommodating our change in time as well. Really
No problem.
appreciate it.
And you'll all be able to enjoy your dinner now. So well done.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
Cheers.
Bye. Cheers. Okay, so we'll take a break now until 6:20. We'll take an hour. Yes. Yeah. It always happens. Oh, Gerald's coming on Tuesday. He's rescheduled. I don't know what's happened to Carolyn